What's up, guys? So we made it to TDS. We're here in Borrego Springs, California. We're a little ways away from the actual TDS, but we're gonna work our way there tomorrow. Right now we're getting fully unloaded and getting checked into our Airbnb for the weekend, and we have gotten so much done to get to this point. We're finishing up some brake bleeding on Cream Puff right now. Surf and Sahara YJ is on its way here. But there's still one Jeep that we have yet to show you guys, and I'm really excited to share that Jeep with you. Let's go check out the mystery Jeep. So here it is, everybody. This is Chris Miller's 1952 M38A1 that he bought sight unseen in my hometown, even though he lives a couple thousand miles away in Dallas. So our friend Luke, the owner of the Cream Puff Jeep, went out and picked this up for him with a list of things that Chris wanted checked off, because he knew that he would have minimal time to work on this before we were able to come out here to TDS and then ultimately to the Rubicon Trail. So Chris, tell us a little bit about this thing.
Well, like you said, it's a 1952 M38A1, the first of the round fender, I believe. This one has, well, when I saw the ad, they claimed 1968 Corvette engine. And sure, it's a Corvette engine. Everybody's engine is a Corvette engine. But then Luke informed me that it has an exceptionally short throw shifter. And indeed, it has a Muncie M20 side shift that date codes to like 67 and 68. So it might actually be a Corvette motor and trans. Got long tube headers, dual exhaust. It's got some sweet ratty old seats I put into it. It's got 33, 10, 50, 15 BFG all-terrains that came off of my Jeepster. Brody Bots helped me build this in a day so that I could get this non-working winch. But let's be honest, the vibes this thing gives off.
It's just a centerpiece.
Oh, it had a blackout light, which I replaced with the opposite of a blackout light, a Squadron Racer. That thing, I mean, you know,
They're incredible.
It's a 3/4 mile light all day long.
And let's talk about the timeline that all this got done in, because this Jeep looked very different just a few days ago.
Well, let's see. I got into Ramona at 2 in the morning on Monday morning. And it is now Friday, midday, and we didn't do anything on Tuesday. So yeah, it's 2.5 days.
Yeah, so we swapped wheels and tires. We actually had to mount a tire on one of the wheels that came with it. And then this Jeep also started rubbing as soon as the bigger tires went on. So then Chris had to panic order some wheel spacers off Amazon.
I got a lot of Amazon to Jarrett's, like a lot this week.
And then we took it over to Brody's house, which is Idle Hands Fabrication, and they got started right away on fabricating a very custom winch mount for this thing for the 8274. They had to work all the way around the steering box on this side.
Yes, because it is Saginaw converted.
Exactly. It has a Saginaw steering that's actually very powerful.
It's
not the box.
I would not say that it's the box. It is very overpressured. It's honestly a little twitchy on the road. Off-road, I mean, 2 fingers, and it doesn't matter what rut your tire catches, it's not going to kick back.
You're basically hydro assist.
Yeah. Oh, you forgot about the most important mod. When I bought this Jeep, it had a sort of Army Star stencil on the hood, which gave me the thoughts that I was going to repaint the Jeep. And then I realized that a little red Scotch-Brite, some water, and a buffer just worked it right off. You'd never know it was there.
Totally fixed that problem.
Yeah.
So they got this winch plate started on day one, but we couldn't finish it that day because we didn't have the winch yet. And that kind of throws a rag into things. So this got mostly fabricated, and while that was going on, Kris worked on putting in these Mastercraft seats. The Jeep originally came with some seats that looked like they were out of a Cherokee XJ maybe. They totally didn't fit the vibe, and these ratty Mastercrafts 100% do. So we got these seat brackets fabricated over the fuel tank. We didn't take the fuel tank out to do that. We were just extra careful.
Definitely did not weld on top of the fuel tank at all, not even once or 5 times.
And with these seats in it, it is just a much better experience ride. It's much more comfortable. It still does have lap belts, so you are locked into it a little bit. Then we move to the inside of this thing. So like Kris mentioned, this has a Muncie M20 side shift in it. And side shift means that the linkages are not, well, they're not above it, they're on the side. And that pushes the whole shifter and everything off to the driver's side of the shift mechanism. So if you look down from the top, the shifter, which would normally be right about here, is way over here. And where the gas pedal is located, where the lack of gas pedal, I guess, is directly behind the shifter. So one of the things that Kris is going to work on when he takes this Jeep back to Dallas with him is he's going to put an SM465.
SM465, 6.5 3-to-1 first gear, 4-speed. So it's basically a 3-speed with a low range.
So this is a military vehicle. And so it has some differences from what a normal CJ5 would have, even though it looks like a CJ5. We have a glove box on the left side of our steering column, which is extremely deep.
Stick your arm in there.
You can...
It goes to the firewall.
It goes all the way back to the firewall. And then we also have a...
Battery compartment.
Another compartment on the cowl. And this one is for batteries.
Dual batteries. Now, unfortunately, it's a little skinny for the standard Optima Group 34 that I use. But Optima has a couple other options that'll fit in here. So I will move the single battery out of there and into here and run 2 12-volt batteries in parallel.
And speaking of under the hood, Kris, do you mind if we take a look?
Go for it. Go for it. I'll be right back.
Here is, oh, there you are. Here is the small block 350 that is a real fire breather. We have already done a little bit of work to this. We had to adjust timing.
Now, Brody didn't have an advanced timing light with a dial or a digital on it, so I couldn't dial in basically at 3,000 RPM when it's at full advance on the distributor. You can aim an advanced timing light at the 0 mark, and you can dial it back, and when it says 0, you look at it, and that'll tell you what your total timing is, or the digital one's even easier. So I took it from 9.5 closer to the 12 recommended. I took it to 11.5, which is about as much as I could read on the timing rack, and it woke up. Obviously idled smoother, much, much snappier. It's just all around better. So when I get it home, I'll actually time it.
We adjusted that timing and then we took it for a test ride. We hit the brakes and one of these tires, was it the front tire?
Driver's rear.
So this thing's drum brakes front and rear. Drum brakes can get a little sticky every now and then. Kris is wearing a Power Stop shirt. He's an expert on braking systems, but in my small mind, sometimes drums need a little bit more adjustment. And when we hit the brakes in this thing, one of the tires just decided to stop spinning completely.
So what I have found is that I didn't actually hit the brakes hard enough there. So they're not adjusted evenly, which they absolutely should be. But what's happening is with a little bit of pedal pressure, that tire it's just throwing the pads further, or the pads are closer to the drum than they are elsewhere. If I jam on the brakes, it'll lock all 4 up for sure. But this is going to become an issue off-road because there'll be times where I want to feather the brakes in, and I will be dragging that tire. Adjusting these is not your standard drum brakes with the little clicker in there. There's 2 different adjustments, and I'm not going to claim that I know what they are because I know that this community is going to hate whatever I say. But I can tell you that they don't adjust the same as like a 78 Plymouth rear drum brakes. They're just not the same. So I'm going to try and make do unless I feel unsafe, in which case I will consult the internet and we'll do a brake job here in the parking lot. Otherwise, I'll take it home and do it in Dallas when I strip it apart. Both axles are just going to get stripped down. Bearings, seals, lockers, lunchbox lockers, Lockrights, and then they'll get painted, see more paint, and put back together. And at that point, it should have great brakes.
Yeah, and we have 5 months to get all of this done before the Rubicon Trail. This Jeep will be there in very similar fashion than it is now, but this weekend is really a break and run for us to see what our low range looks like, do these idle at angles, what is comfortable, what isn't, and what are the priority lists. How is the priority list going to change between what it is right now and what it is after this weekend?
Correct.
So we're going to take this thing out this weekend, and I will share some of that footage in the intro video because we are away from home right now in an Airbnb, and I'm not going to be editing this video tonight. So that means that I can pile a little bit more onto it before I post this out to you guys. Unveiling the mystery Jeep. Oh, and I didn't even tell them the name.
Oh yeah, it's an M38A1. It's a V8 M38A1, so we'll call it an M83. The problem is that I really like M83, the electronic band, and one of their songs, Midnight City, just kind of stuck. So Midnight City, Jarrett's been butchering that into Midnight Masher or something. I forgot, Midnight Rambler or something. It'll have a lot of names, but it is, for me, it's the M83.
Yeah. If I had rights to that song, I'd play it for everybody, but you guys will just have to look
We don't
up.
have the rights to that.
We don't have the rights to that. M83 Midnight City. So a couple of other things that we were able to get done before this trip is we went to Tractor Supply and Chris found this water jug. We're in California, so the fuel cans have to be very California compliant. Otherwise, they're labeled as liquid containers or water jugs. But this is an obvious jerry can, and it fits the jerry can holder on the back of his Jeep. I had some 2-inch nylon, so Chris made a little strap for it. And he's going to carry extra fuel because this V8 does like to suck fuel pretty fast. So guys, I have to get back to work and helping these guys with Cream Puff. We're bleeding the brakes right now. We've had some issues with it, but we are determined to get this fixed and off the trailer so that we can take this on a night ride tonight. I hope you like the mystery Jeep. It's very cool, and we're going to just jump right back into this. Chris with the mystery Jeep, Midnight City, I can stop calling it the mystery Jeep, has a YouTube channel, and there will be more on that later. Right now, it is a blank channel. He's working on his channel intro and a few other things, but as soon as that's up and running, I will show you guys what that channel looks like so that you can go over there and subscribe to him as well. But without further ado, we have TDS things to do. Thanks for watching Crawl TV. I will see you guys later.